In the cradle of human civilization, along the majestic banks of the Nile, the ancient Egyptians developed complex customs surrounding death and the afterlife. These traditions began to take shape around 3100 BCE during the early dynastic period. As the civilization advanced, so too did their beliefs in preserving the body for the journey into eternity. The Nile's gentle flow mirrored the Egyptians' approach to life and death, with the river's predictable cycles reflecting the eternal nature of the soul. The Egyptians viewed death not as an end, but as a transition to another realm. Their preparation for this journey was meticulous, ensuring that every detail was designed to aid the deceased in the afterlife. As the sun set daily, casting long shadows over the pyramids and temples, so the Egyptians believed the soul would traverse the underworld, guided by the god Osiris. These customs evolved as a reflection of their deep-rooted spirituality, with the afterlife seen as a continuation of earthly existence, but in a more idealized form. Early burials were simple, with bodies interred in shallow pits in the desert, where the arid climate naturally mummified the remains. Over centuries, these practices became more elaborate, reflecting societal changes and advances in religious thought. As Egyptian society evolved, so did the intricacies of their burial practices, particularly the art of embalming. By the time of the New Kingdom, around 1550 BCE, mummification had reached its zenith. The process was a delicate art form, rooted in both science and religion. Embalmers, skilled artisans in their own right, worked meticulously to preserve the body, which was seen as the soul's vessel in the afterlife. This procedure typically took 70 days, a time believed to correspond with the period of mourning. Each step was performed with great care, under the auspices of Anubis, the jackal-headed god of mummification. The process began with the removal of internal organs, which were separately embalmed and placed in canopic jars, each protected by one of the four sons of Horus. Next, the body was dehydrated using natron, a naturally occurring salt, before being wrapped in linen. This method not only preserved the physical form, but also symbolized spiritual renewal. Throughout, prayers and rituals were conducted, invoking divine protection. The embalmer's skill was such that some mummies have survived to this day, offering us insights into the lives of individuals long past. In ancient Egypt, a tomb was not merely a resting place for the body, but a carefully constructed home for the soul. From the modest mastabas of early dynasties to the grand pyramids of Giza, the architecture of these structures reflected both the social status of the deceased and their beliefs about the afterlife. Around 2500 BCE, the construction of the Great Pyramid at Giza marked the pinnacle of this architectural achievement, a testament to the pharaoh Khufu's desire for immortality. These monumental structures were intended to stand the test of time, symbolizing the eternal nature of the ruler's reign. Within these tombs, walls were adorned with vibrant paintings depicting scenes of daily life, meant to provide comfort and familiarity for the deceased in the afterlife. Texts, including the pyramid texts and later the coffin texts, were inscribed to guide and protect the soul on its journey. Tombs were filled with objects and treasures deemed necessary for the next world, from utilitarian items like pottery and furniture to items of personal value. Yet, despite their grandeur, these tombs also serve as a poignant reminder of the Egyptians' deep connection to the cycles of nature and the spiritual world. Once interred, the deceased were believed to require sustenance for their journey and existence in the afterlife. This led to the practice of leaving offerings in tombs, a custom deeply intertwined with Egyptian religious beliefs. Daily rituals were performed by priests and family members who would provide food, drink, and other necessities for the deceased. These offerings were not only physical, but also spiritual, as they were believed to transform into whatever the soul required. The practice was rooted in the concept of Ma'at, which represented balance and harmony in the universe. By maintaining Ma'at, the deceased could enjoy an afterlife mirroring their earthly life, free from want. Offerings often included bread, beer, poultry, and beef, depicted abundantly in tomb paintings. The practice underscored the importance the ancient Egyptians placed on community and family, with living relatives continuing to care for the dead. These rituals were a means of ensuring eternal life, as long as the deceased were remembered and nourished. In time, the tradition evolved with the introduction of false doors in tombs where the spirit could receive offerings directly. This symbolic architecture allowed for a continuous connection between the living and the deceased. For the ancient Egyptians, death marked the beginning of a perilous journey through the Duat, the realm of the dead. This journey was laden with challenges intended to test the worthiness of the soul. Ancient texts, such as the Book of the Dead, provided essential guidance for navigating this treacherous landscape. These writings described the various deities, passages, and trials the deceased would encounter. Central to this journey was the weighing of the heart ceremony, conducted by Osiris, the lord of the underworld. The heart, believed to be the seat of intelligence and emotion, was weighed against the feather of Maat. A balanced scale allowed for the deceased's passage into paradise, while an imbalance led to destruction. The Egyptians believed that knowledge of the necessary spells and incantations, as provided in the funerary texts, was crucial for a safe passage. These texts included detailed instructions and illustrations, serving as a map for the afterlife. The journey through the Duat was ultimately a spiritual one, reflecting the values and beliefs of ancient Egyptian society. It underscored the importance of moral integrity and the hope for eternal life, a hope that resonated through the ages. As we reflect on the burial practices of ancient Egypt, we see a civilization deeply invested in the concept of eternity. From the construction of monumental tombs to the precise rituals and religious texts, each element of their burial customs was woven with the thread of immortality. These practices offer a window into the values and beliefs of the ancient Egyptians. They saw life as a cycle, intricately linked with the natural world and the divine. Death was not feared, but embraced as a passage to a more perfect existence. This belief in an afterlife that mirrored the earthly realm underscored a profound hope for continuity and connection. The legacy of these practices is evident today, not only in the artifacts and mummies that have endured millennia, but also in their influence on subsequent cultures and religions. Ancient Egyptian burial customs remind us of the universal human desire to understand and transcend death. They offer a serene perspective on mortality, one that resonates with a timeless message of hope and renewal. As we conclude this exploration, we are gently reminded of the power of belief and the enduring quest for eternal life, a quest that continues to captivate the human imagination.